The Pirelli World Challenge Championships return to the mountain rim beauty of the Great Salt Desert, where the Sprint X season championships will be decided today. It's high speed, high elevation, high temperature excitement at the Grand Prix of Utah, and it starts right now. Welcome, everybody. Great to have you with us. And the GTS Sprint X field is set to go, queuing up on the pre-grid and ready to head out on the track. Great to have all of you with us here today. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish. Ryan Marine will be covering the action for us down trackside and in pit lane, making some last-minute cleanup sweeps on the track. And Cal, as we come in here, this is the weekend that these Sprint X championships are going to be decided. And oftentimes the championships that's clinched in the most trying of conditions are the ones that are extra satisfying. We're certainly experiencing that here this weekend.
Well, there's a lot on the line here today, Greg, with the crowning of the champions tonight. But extreme conditions, there's a real test here at Utah Motorsports campus for man and machine. Extreme temperatures yesterday, we saw a lot of that machinery really struggle in the heat, going into that engine preservation mode. And if one of these championship contenders has that happen, it could be heartbreak.
And this track has produced those such moments. There's no question about that. We're up at 4,500 feet of elevation. It is a very fast track, a long straight. It puts lots of demands on the car. It's demanding on tires. There's an awful lot that can unfold in this race. And survival. I mean, this is only an hour race, but with that pit stop and driver changes and huge field, survival.
You've got to be smart about it, particularly if you are in championship contenders. Think about who's around you, someone who doesn't have anything to worry about and just going for the win. Don't be too aggressive. And a big key factor is, Greg, you have to get to that 50% mark to score points. So if you're in the championship hunt, that will be your first target here today.
Always have to be mindful of that, no question about it. And we talked about this great field here. It's an international field. Drivers from around the world, teams that are from around the world, manufacturers and factory drivers, some incredible stuff. And, of course, one of the drivers here, a little bit earlier this year, won at the Mecca of sports car racing in the GT Pro category at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. His name is Michael Christensen, and he is about to give you a tour of this great facility.
Hey everyone, this is Michael Christensen, driving for Allegro Motorsports in a Porsche 911 GT3R here at Utah Motorsports campus. Coming up to turn 1, braking at around the 2 marker, trying to keep good momentum through turn 1, even though it's a little bit bumpy in the entry. And try to use all the track width here. This section is high-speed section, but as you see, the rear is quite alive. Also here, just trying to keep the speed through and get all in power down the next straightaway. As it's a long straight, it's important to get a good exit here. Late braking up to the next hairpin, left-hander, really slow corner, and again try to stop the car as quick as possible, get on power as early as possible out of here. Bit of traction issues coming up to the next right-hander, again really slow corner, trying to position myself as good as possible for the exit. As we have a little bit of a straight afterwards coming up here to the next right-hander. It's a fast right, but then you have a slow section afterwards, so I try to line myself up as good as possible for this chicane coming through here, trying to stay on power all the way through and accelerating all the way through. Coming up the hill, braking at a 2 marker again, keeping a tight line through, but using all the exit curve as much exit as possible. Here, the last section, try to keep as much speed through, but the rear is loose. Again, trying to stop the car and get around the corner as fast as possible and as tight as possible. Here, last corner, get the car turned and as early on power as possible as well. Very important down the long straightaway. This is one lap with Michael Christensen here at Utah Motorsports campus. This is your Porsche track preview.
As you can see, it's a pretty intense lap here. And as we take a look at our Porsche race analysis, one of the other features here, Cal, it's in the desert. So you get the sand blowing across. Somebody drops a tire, it comes up on the track. It can change lap to lap. And you're at 4,500 feet of elevation, which, of course, changes the entire power delivery.
It really does. There's so much to factor in here this weekend. Certainly the temperature is the main thing, getting the air to the front radiator grill, staying out of the draft if you need to. And during that pit stop, there's a mandatory pit stop here today. No tire change with the GTS cars, but a mandatory pit stop where some guys will be doing a driver change, some guys are going at solo, there's a big opportunity for some heat soak with those engines as well. So that's a concern. Drivers have even moved their pit box selection to closer to pit in, so they actually drive down pit lane at low speed and get some air back through the car so they don't go into that engine preservation mode when they hit the racetrack again.
And as you can see, that field goes an awfully long way down pit lane, well over 30 cars, 2 different divisions. There's going to be a couple of championships that we are going to be following, obviously, as the day unfolds here, as we wrap up these Sprint X titles. The field has been brought to life, so we expect it to be heading out on track. Of course, this year, both days, it is rolling starts, and we're getting word that the beautiful Mercedes-Benz safety vehicle from Mercedes-Benz Farmington is heading out on track. The field will be making its way out in short order as they go, led by pole sitter Ian James in the number 50 Team Panos Racing Hometown Heroes Panos. And that leads us into our Pirelli storylines, Cal. And as we're clinching championships today, is GMG golden in the Pro-Am category?
Well, they have a healthy lead. It's now 17 points. So if they finish within the top 13 today, they will clinch that championship. If they have early problems, don't get to the 50% mark, Harry Gottsacker can sneak in with a top 4 finish.
And in the AM category, Drew Stavely has a big point lead as well, and this is home for him.
Yeah, he's got a great advantage here. The car looked really hooked up yesterday. He's now got a 20-point lead. Similar scenario, 16th place for him would do the deal. But if he should have problems, Aurora Strauss could sneak in here with a podium finish, so there's a lot on the line.
Well, and her BMW, with John Miller behind the wheel, her co-driver, led a lot of that race, so they certainly have speed. And you mentioned as a key component of this is you've got to get to 50%. And if you're one of these players in the points, that's mission number 1, yes?
It is. You can't get too aggressive too early. You've got to factor that into the equation. If you get knocked out early in the going, you could end up with a 0-point score and allow one of those contenders to sneak in and steal the crown away from you.
So there's a lot to play for. We saw mechanical issues in the race yesterday. It's on the line today. Championships in Sprint X will be decided, and it starts with a green flag, which we will have next here at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Utah. And a big welcome to everybody joining us here on Sirius XM and on our web stream. Great to have you with us for this Sprint X season finale race. Do remember, of course, Labor Day weekend, Watkins Glen is the finale for the season with the final 2 sprint rounds. But this is Sprint X time. And as always, second day of action here at any of our events. We are building our CBS Sports Network show, so we'll be doing little pauses and layouts, but we'll be with you whenever we can on the web and at Sirius XM to help bring you through what should be a fascinating race today. We're going to pause right now, and we'll be back next with the CBS Sports Network call and the start. The field starting to pack up behind the Mercedes-Benz safety vehicle, thanks, of course, to Mercedes-Benz of Farmington for providing that beautiful machine. And the great field behind it now starting to line up side by side as we get ready for this 10th and final round of the Sprint X Championship season here for the GTS field. And we've seen this front row sort of look before. The Panos and that Racer's Edge Sim, they have put on some tremendous racing. But the cars in the next couple of rows, Cal, are capable.
They really are. They're both championship contenders as well. Ian James, what a role they've been on this summer. Harry Gottsacker, this could have been a battle for the win yesterday, bar that drive-through penalty.
Absolutely, and that white number 55 sat on pole yesterday. What's going to happen? We are about to find out. Final round of Sprint X for GTS is underway. Oh, that was a very early move by Colin Brown. That could be a little bit of a problem. Meanwhile, the front row gets the jump. James eases ahead just a little bit, and a huge off. Cars spinning in the back of the field. We have dust, debris everywhere. And, of course, in that, there may be some additional cars. I think that was the 40 Co-College BF Racing Mustang that was way off to the right, Cal.
Yeah, there was definitely a car there on that front straightaway. Harry Gottsacker has grabbed the lead from Ian James. James under pressure now from Jade Buford right behind him.
Well, Harry must have just flowed great momentum around the outside, which we've seen happen into that first turn on occasion.
Shimshak up ahead of Aurora Strauss, now feeling the pressure from behind as well.
Oh, and Preston Calvert just had Andy Lee slice through, and Stephen McAleer in that chrome, green, and black BMW coming through as well. 3-4 abreast heading down into Blackrock.
Will this work? Look at this, 4 abreast into the brake zone. Down to the inside goes Michael Cooper, a brave move there, trying to make hay here in the early going.
There's that number 40, so he was able to continue. Nice job by Patrick Gallagher. But we have a full chorus yellow, which is not a huge surprise, because in that, there it is, and that was the incident. Oh, big hit by the PF Racing number 10 along. Is that the 40? No, that's the 98 Compass Racing Rubric McLaren. So another look at it, Cal.
Big compression at the start. People having to jump out of line, waiting for the green flag. Just everyone a bit too antsy. And look further back in the pack. You can see the number 10 car just spear across and gather up the Compass Racing McLaren.
And you saw that number 10 car kind of leap into the air right as it shot sideways, which would indicate he may have had some contact that precipitated that. But yeah, that start, a couple of people went a little early, it looked like, and then everybody had to check up behind it. So there is the incident. So this is going to take a little while to clean up, I would think. And the field is making its way around. You can see the safety vehicle ready to go. From the track, the EV cruiser there, and there's the number 72. Oh, what a shame. That is the O'Connell entry from Robinson Racing in the 74 Ranch car. Pretty significant damage to the left side of that car.
It really is. You'd have to assume that Johnny was involved there. Sharing this car with his young son, Kanan O'Connell. Had a nice run here yesterday, looking for more today. Great to see Johnny O back in our World Challenge paddock, 4-time champion.
And a very special event for him, being able to race with his son Kanan. He said he's been looking forward to this one. They had fun yesterday, but a tough start to the day today. So as the field comes down the front straight, we'll be picked up by the Mercedes safety vehicle. And as that happens, we are going to take a little bit of a break here. We will be right back with you, and hopefully they'll get this cleaned up as quick as possible. We can get back to green flag racing here at Utah Motorsports Campus. All right, back with you here on Sirius XM and on our web stream. And this is a very, very wide front straight, Cal, and there's all that runoff to the left. But when you get a pack of cars that thick in contact, you never know where a car is going to go. And obviously that one concrete pit wall is there waiting.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. We've got a massive field of cars here, and if it goes wrong on one of these restarts, sometimes you got nowhere to go. Such a shame to see Johnny O involved in this. I'd have to believe there's too much damage there. Obviously, the left side tires are down, inner fenders are peeled out. Going to try and get back here, see if they can do somewhat of a fix, and then keep him on the lead lap potentially. Send him back out and bring him back in again.
Well, I think they can legitimately make the claim to the officials that, yeah, we need to replace a couple tires.
Yes. Jason Bell's Audi now making his way back as well.
What a year he has had in terms of getting caught up in incidents. It's just been a rough run for him. Looks like it's the left front tire in his car that was cut.
Robinson Racing boys going to work here. They'll take a quick look, but they've got to keep an eyeball on where that pack of cars is, so they don't have Johnny go down a lap. You could see the pace that he was bringing back, showcasing his experience, Greg, in not driving the car too quickly and doing further damage that could not be repaired.
Yeah, I was impressed that he got it back that well, and obviously pretty savvy guy, and knew that when he could, the left-handers where he'd get a little bite on those outside, he could maybe pick the pace up just a little bit, brought it in. We'll see what happens. But they're starting to get these vehicles ready. One of the flatbeds there to get the number 10 out of the barrier.
And the 10 and the 72 car were right beside each other on the grid, so you'd have to assume that the damage we're seeing on Johnny O'Connell's car came from some contact with the 10 when we went to green.
Well, like I said, when the green went, I could see the 10. It kind of jumped suddenly. And it would make sense if he was on that side that they touched, and that's what snapped him sideways and sent him across, and then collected the 78 of Holton. And that's a tough break for that Rubric Western Digital Race Day Foundation team. Here's a look at the team car of Johnny O'Connell, the number 74 for the 74 Ranch program. Of course, Shane Lewis and Gar Robinson run separate cars for that team in the Sprint Championship, but run together And that's what sort of opened up the opportunity for the O'Connells to take over the car that would be sitting.
Right, they didn't have the smoothest of days yesterday. They ran afoul of the minimum pit lane delta time, which when we do get to that mandatory pit stop exchange is 67 seconds. You cannot be underneath that, otherwise you'll get a drive-through penalty like they did. And then they were one of the teams that suffered with the extreme heat here yesterday, and the engine went into that engine preservation mode on the 74 car. So they've been allowed to actually cut a few more holes in the ducting and stuff for today's race to maybe alleviate that problem.
As you can see, the entire field being led down through pit lane by the Mercedes-Benz safety vehicle. And that's obviously just to give the crews working on the front straight as much room as possible to be able to do their work without getting in the way as the field sort of slips on through here. So we are going to pause here as they bring the field down through pit lane, and we'll obviously get things settled and get back to it as quick as we can. Welcome back, everybody, with the caution still continuing. Cleanup, though, coming along rather nicely on that front straight. So we're looking forward to getting back to green in just a lap or two, we hope. But let's go back, Cal, and take a look at what unfolded on that start. And again, watch for that first sort of jump by that number 10 deep in the pack.
Yeah, big compression there, middle of the pack. Look a little bit further back. You can see the dusters flying. You see that white roof leap up into the air. That's Vinny Allegretta and the number 10 Mustang. I think he got together with Johnny O'Connell. They're on the same row 11, as they came to that green.
And you can see there all the dust and debris. The number 40 Co-College car able to get way off to the other side of the track and avoid everything. And then, of course, Harry Gottsacker from that outside position was able to sweep across around the front of the Panosa James and pick up that lead, but of course immediately then went into the full course caution to effect the cleanup. So they've got one of the cars completely moved. The 78 from Compass Racing, the McLaren, is up on the rollback as well. So the cleanup is coming along smartly, and like we said, we're looking forward to having this one get back to green here in fairly short order. But as always, this is a double-header weekend. We have two events that unfold, and we've talked about some of the interesting moments that unfolded in the first race. Let's take a look at some of those highlights. And at the start, it was Scott Maxwell in that white Mustang on pole with Matt Keegan alongside, but that blue BMW was the story here early, Cal.
It really was. The number 36 car, John Miller, in the ST Racing BMW, makes a bold move down to the inside.
All right. We'll get back to those here in just a little bit. And the Optima Batteries Best Start, of course, we have a couple of specialty awards, and one of them is the Optima Batteries Best Start. And up 3 spots over the course of the race to number 11. And that is the car that is running from the Black Dog Speed Shop. He's up 13 spots, Cal, in that opening lap. Michael Cooper absolutely launched.
Yeah, you'd expect that. I mean, he was looking
Exactly.
forward to licking his chops with some fresh rubber here today.
Yeah, he had started way back in 24th and just made a huge leap and was able to get through that mess fairly cleanly as well. And the cars are now gone, so now it's just a matter of trying to get some of this dust and debris, this Great Salt Lake desert sand, blown off of the track and clean things up just a little bit.
See everyone there really conscious of making sure these tires aren't too dirtied up. They're not trying to keep heating them, they're just trying to clean them up, make sure they don't pick up any of the marbles and debris by running offline there.
so much. And that's one of the things that this track has always done is particularly coming out of the final turn, when you look at the shots up by that pit wall, the amount of marble and buildup over there, this track is tough on tires. These probably P0s, if there's a place that pounds them a little bit, it might be here.
Absolutely. It's a big test in many ways. I mean, tire degradation is always a factor at this racetrack. You throw in the extreme heat as we're now climbing into the 90s. Much earlier race here today, so not quite as tough as yesterday, but even so, it's just going to get worse as these minutes go by.
And these drivers, as you said, just doing everything they can right now to clean those tires up, and now working their way into Black Rock. For the folks joining us here on SiriusXM and the web, we're going to do a little bit of a repeat here and redo our most recent TV segment. And welcome back, everybody. Continuing under caution here at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Utah. That big start line incident as the field went to green. And Harry Gottsacker leading under caution. All right, here is a look at that start, Cal. And the big story is back in the middle of that pack is that you're going to see that white number 10 right there.
Yeah, I think there must have been contact between the number 10 of Allegretta and the number 72 of Johnny O'Connell. They shared the same row together. Big compression there in the middle of the pack as the leaders took off under green. And just a big impact with that pit wall for the number 10 Mustang, and took the 78 Compass Racing McLaren with him.
However, things are cleaned up enough. We just got the call from race control that they would like lights out on the safety vehicle. That is that Mercedes from Farmington Mercedes-Benz here, and it has made good a little bit of a gap to get into pit lane. And now Harry Gottsacker, boy, we saw this twice over the weekend at Portland, where Harry Gottsacker had Ian James behind him, and he's going to lead him to the green.
Well, they had a fascinating duel at Portland, as you mentioned, Greg, and we thought we were going to see a cut and paste of it here yesterday, but unfortunately Harry Gottsacker got a drive-through penalty for being underneath that minimum pit lane delta. Looks like he's taken off early here, getting ready for the restart.
Into this final corner called release, a little bit of banking onto the front straight, and Harry Gottsacker with Ian James right on his 6, Jade Buford there as well, but that lead duo got a little bit of a break here. The green flies, and they've got a good 10 car lengths back to Buford in that white Mustang.
Yeah, Buford was really caught napping there a little bit as he now moves to the inside to take that lane away. But look at this, Whitmer's making a power move down to the inside of Shimshak, it looks like.
That's that ST Racing BMW. And, yeah, he's still working him over here. They're side by side, the orange Mercedes of Shimshak. And Ian James wasting no time attacking young Harry Gottsacker for that race lead as well. Look at that, still in that battle for fourth, side by side. And I thought McAleer might try and stick that green BMW up the inside. Couldn't quite get it done.
You can see that bright blue number 36 BMW, Aurora Strauss, hanging in there. Remember, she still has an outside shot at that AM Championship. McAleer down to the inside on Whitmer.
He's going to make it through. Whitmer's going to try, but he got forced up on that curb a little bit. That's going to unsettle him, but he got a nice run nonetheless. But McAleer covered.
Andy Lee, who had put together a nice fast lap yesterday, didn't have the best of starts there. He's now putting the pressure on Aurora for that 6th position.
So first time again at speed now through Witchcraft. Look at McAleer. He's down to the inside of Shimshak. Boy, he's driven a great storming opening restart lap, hasn't he?
He has got some speed in that BMW right now. Up front, Harry Gottsacker continues to lead, but James Carr may take a little bit of a while to get into its sweet spot, but expect him to have pace here today.
Yeah, McAleer driving, that's one of 7 cars that Classic BMW is fielding across a multitude of classes here. As we head down into the clubhouse corner, McAleer solidifying that hold now. But you know Shimshak is going to continue to battle.
And the number 4 really strong through there. That BMW this weekend has been awfully quick.
By the way, we get a report the 45 Flying Lizard Audi in the hands of Robbie Foley is going to have to do a drive-through penalty for a jump start.
That's a tough one because you don't want to run over the guy in front of you and everyone's slowed up. That's your immediate reaction, is to jink out of line, and that's going to cost you a penalty. So unfortunate situation is Whitmer again down to the inside on Shimshak. Christian swings across and takes the line at apex. Really fast first turn here.
Absolutely, and you notice on Whitmer's car, the driver's door does not match the color of the rest of the car. He had a little coming together with Patrick Gallagher's Mustang yesterday and knocked the door right off the car. And so they had to do a quick fix on that. So we go back. There's Michael Cooper in the Black Dog Speed Shop, Chevrolet Camaro GT4, up 13 spots in the opening lap. And look at this, James trying to make the move, but Cooper wins the Optima Batteries Best Start Award for an absolutely blinder of a start. Didn't have the fast lap they wanted in that race and started way back in 24th today, but he's making up for it.
See some smoke there.
Yeah, I hope that was just dust, but it had a little different color to it, didn't it?
Gottsaka under pressure. Ian James wants this victory. They are on quite the roll. It was actually Matt Keegan who put the lap together yesterday early in the race to get the fast lap and the pole position that goes with it.
And the other part of the story, thinking about Ian James, but more importantly, Harry Gottsacker with that 17-point deficit to the 14. That car right now in the hands of James Sofroniscal sits 12th overall. So this is a big opportunity for this young man.
Well, we talk about that 50% mark, and you know that James Sofronis wants to be in the bigger points, but I think the first target is to get to that 50% mark and make sure that he and Alex Welch do score points here today, and it's a much tougher task for Harry Gottsacker.
Yeah, and he has played it well. He started 12th. That's right where James is running right now. He's just saying, don't do anything at this stage. And Gottsacker worried about the speed already of the Panos.
Yeah, immediately takes a defensive line. He's certainly entitled to do that. You've got to make that move first. And now Ian James looks to the inside. Who's going to be the last person on the brakes? Harry Gottsacker swings wide and takes the line back. He learned a lesson at Portland. Ian James put a move on him there in the first race to grab the victory. Harry Gottsacker's a quick learner.
He is indeed. Had that little better radius into the turn and was able to carry the speed and get through. But boy, I'll tell you, Ian James in the Panos is in full attack mode, and Jade Buford sitting back in third and watching. Welcome back, everybody. This battle for the lead is furious. Into Black Rock Hairpin, and Ian James continues to attack 18-year-old Harry Gottsacker in that red Sin R1. There's Jade Buford in that white number 55 PF Racing Mustang. And the battle for fourth continues. Shimshak attacking on McAleer. McAleer coming right back on the inside. They have been side by side through this section before. They're doing it again. And Whitmer got a good run.
He really did, and he gets that position. It looks like, no, Shimshak doesn't want to give it to him. It's a fight there through turn 7. Whitmer up and over the curbs.
Boy, and you can see how aggressively Shimshak tried to rotate and get back into position for the attitudes there. And Mercedes pretty compliant over those curbs. He wanted to be able to use all of it.
And remember, with this Pro-Am category, the rules dictate that you qualify your Am on day 1. They'll start the race, the Pro will finish, and then the Pro starts race 2 is what we're looking at right now. A little bit of a switch up with the Aurora Strauss car. They reversed their strategy there. So Aurora's amongst the big dogs here this afternoon and doing a really nice job.
Yeah, she is sitting right there 8th overall and still leading that Am category. So fine job in that pale blue Richard Mille entry. And an interesting move there as the 17 of McAleer using all the curbs exiting the last corner. But Shimshak, and I wonder if we're starting to see those concerns with temperatures, Cal.
I think we are, and I think looking at this straightaway, there's parts of it that have never been used before, but they're certainly being used this weekend as everyone's looking for a draft, looking for some clean air. Different policies involved here. It looks like James has got good cooling on that Panos Avezzano. He's able to tuck into Harry Gottsacker's draft and try and get the full effect down that front straightaway.
And you're seeing little bits of these little clouds of this great salt desert sand that blow up into the air, and that's what we were talking about. Gets onto the track, and grip corner to corner can change so quickly here, and the abrasiveness of that on the track. Everybody's got to be paying attention, and as you talked about in GTS Sprint X competition, there's a pit stop, but no tire changes.
That's right. That pit stop window opens up in less than 5 minutes.
Generally, for the second race with the pros, if you would, are in the cars. They'll leave them in a little bit longer at this stage, so we'll see who strategizes and changes anything up.
Key is for Gottsacker. They've kind of held the strategy over the last couple of Sprint X weekends to pit him very early. The problem is with a massive field, you do that, you can end up buried in traffic a little bit. So I wonder if John Maraku with Racer's Edge will change that policy a little bit.
The interesting thing here, too, looking at where James Safronis is, he's been running 12th. He's slipped all the way back to 17th.
Well, the concern is there. That Audi is very vulnerable to those temperature situations. So curious to know if that is indeed the problem there.
One of the issues is when those Audis get hot, there's a little like a preservation mode where it just richens things up just a little bit to try and cool that engine down, which of course, one, it affects fuel consumption, but two, the way it works, it also robs you of a little bit of power, and then you've just got to wait till it clicks back in again.
You do, and you can't be picking up a draft. You really got to work double overtime, short shift, find some clean air. Not as extreme as yesterday, so I'm surprised at that, but Safronis is mired in the pack right now. And there's probably some sweaty brows there in the GMG camp, because Gottsacker is leading. He's going to have the potential to score maximum points here today. Remember, Matt Keegan's been very fast in that Panos, but probably doesn't have the edge in speed that Ian James does. So Gottsacker's task in the second half of this race may be a little bit easier.
And if the number 55 PF Racing Mustang stays close, that doesn't get much easier, because Buford, who's exceptional, is turning over to Maxwell, who's exceptional. And the guys right now that look to be super racy, McAleer and that number 17, Raphael and Associates, classic BMW, looks very, very strong right now.
Ian James really working over Harry Gottsacker in terms of picking different lines, trying to see where the grip is at. Some of these corners are almost like running a dirt oval, Greg. You're looking for grip, you'll run the cushion, you'll do anything to try and find a little bit of pace over the guy you're trying to get around.
And that orange Mercedes from Murillo Racing, the Fuji machine, Christian Shimshak, of course, a pro in that car, but Matthew Fasnacht, who was the reigning TCA champion, running in TCR as well. He's getting lots of track time here, and he has been on form this weekend. He's been quick, and I don't think you're going to see much loss there either.
Whitmer wide there coming out of Tuella. He was in the Toolies.
He was indeed. And behind him, you see just a shot of the 04 of Colin Brown, and that is the CrowdStrike GMG Audi that he shares with reigning A champion George Kurtz.
What a summer Colin Brown has had. Two big prototype victories. Man, very much on everyone's radar. Talk of him maybe making an IndyCar test this year, potential for a limited program next year. That's a young man on the move with his career.
Boy, isn't it? He has had a stellar one. Look at this scrap here for third, as McAleer taking a run now. Pops to the outside, going to try and sweep around the outside. Buford having none of that, delayed his turn in just enough to park McAleer a little bit. And up front, Gottsacker continues to hang on over James. And the battle at the front is fast enough right now that the two leaders starting to ease away from Buford and McAleer, probably because they're spending a lot of time side by side defending on each other. And now Ian James has nothing to worry about in his mirrors. He can focus on that black wing on the back of that red sin of Harry Gottsacker. Down through the attitudes they go.
Well, next time they come by the pit entrance, that pit window should be open. So for the Racers H team, do they employ the same strategy that we've seen in recent rounds and pit Harry Gottsacker? It's a 67 pit lane delta. Is a pretty long lap here, so I'm guesstimating he could get out and be in clean air. The last thing you want to do is make that pit stop, get buried in traffic, and start losing out to the other leaders who are staying out on track.
And that window just opened. But the other concern is, do you want to give Ian James and that Panos clear track? And because he looks to have some pace, there's the decision. Yep.
They're sticking with it. And I think the key is they got to get it right. Yesterday, they were a couple of seconds underneath that delta. Now we see Buford coming in as well, going to turn it over to Scott Maxwell. The key is if you stay with the same driver, you do not have to turn off the engines. This is a concern with the teams that are doing driver changes. When you turn the engine off and wait for the other driver to get back in, the seatbelts have to be done in. As we see Preston Calvert looking for 3 in a row. This you would expect. Aurora Strauss coming in, going to turn it over to John Miller. Flurry of pit stops here. The concern is that heat soak, Greg, on some of these race cars when you turn the engine off and try and get power back again.
Boy, and Drew Stavely, did you see he was coming in and he didn't think that Aurora was going fast enough in pit lane, and he pulled out and tried and passed her, trying to get to his pit. Of course, he's in that championship battle in the A category, so even racing in pit lane here, that's how fast and furious it is. But Ian James now, clear track. We'll see what kind of laps he is able to throw down right now as we watch that stop on the clock for Harry Gottsacker. And as you said, they were a little shy yesterday, way down by pit in, so they had to time it to count for the run down pit exit, and we're getting close to seeing what they've done.
Well, you'd have to assume they're going to be conservative based on what they did yesterday, and yesterday was a nice one, a 68.7, so not super sharp, but they didn't want to run afoul of that. Buford to Maxwell, similar number, 68.9. Looking at fast lap, we talked about Colin Brown, a man on a move in his career, a 158.9. That compares with a 2-minute flat on Ian James. That Audi is absolutely flying.
It
the crowd strike entry.
Yeah, it is hooked up, and you got Colin behind the wheel. That's pretty special. I should clarify something too. The Audi, when it goes into that preservation mode, I said there's a reduction in power. It's significant. I mean, some have compared it to being on the pit lane speed limiter almost.
Yeah, absolutely. But reports from pit lane is that GMG is saying that Sofronis is not in trouble heat related, that he's just being super conservative to get to that 50% mark and really focus on finishing just in that top 13. They don't worry about big points here today. They don't need to be on the podium. The championship is what they're focused on today.
And he is zeroed in on that for sure. So now here comes Ian James McAleer in that classic BMW, sitting in the second spot. Here we go. Into the pits comes the Murillo Racing Fuji Mercedes, and Shimshak turning over to Matt Fosnot. And Mark Clennon in the Premier Copier McLaren makes his move into pit lane.
No tire changes allowed unless you have an emergency situation. You have to prove to the stewards that there was damage to the tire, but you are allowed to do tire pressure adjustments, as you can see there on the Premier Copier McLaren. Mark Clennon, number 62. Shimshak going to be turning it over to Matt Fastnart, who's had a very busy weekend. He's also competing here in the TCR category. Had a nice top 4 finish yesterday.
And there is a look at James Sofronis right now, who is working his way up through the order by virtue of everybody in front of him, or lots of people in front of him heading into the pits. But he's being super cautious, but it's not like he's comfortable and alone. He's got Kyle Marcelli right on his 6 right now, that number 13 Pfaff Porsche, and also a very racy Andy Lee.
And here you see Harry Gottsack, after that pit stop, has found some nice clean what Ian James is doing at the front of this field.
It'll be interesting to see once he completes this lap what his lap times are at this point. And you can see behind him the number 55 of Maxwell, not too far back either.
The key for the Panos team, they had 2 superb pit stops for both the Matt Keegan, Ian James exchange, and the Preston Calvert pit stop in the 67 range. I think it was 67.3 and 67.7. They were absolutely on the money. I saw a couple of the mechanics last night walking to dinner, and they said maybe that was a bit too close for comfort. They chuckled to themselves, but double victory for Panos here yesterday.
Unfortunately for Preston Calvert, now keep in mind he did come in early and do his stop. He's way down the order, and when everybody else cycles through, that too might end up being a good play. Not sure if he was able to get out with some clear track. And this is going to be a good little battle here, as that's the number 12 of Stavely, who did his stop early, and Nikolai Elgahanian in that crossbow from Marco Polo Motorsports, and John Miller now on board that blue Richard Mille ST Racing BMW, and he's had superb speed this weekend.
He really has. Had a nice chat with Nikolai Elgahanian this weekend, sort of like surprised us all with that victory at Lime Rock. What a debut he had there. I was talking to him, and I'm looking at him, like, you remind me of someone. Danny Ricciardo, he is who he looked like, the current Formula One Red Bull driver, Renault for next year. And he said, he laughed, he said, yeah, I get that now and again. But they've been comparing the newer model crossbow chassis, Greg, with the older model, and they've been trying to get electronics to work on the newer model so that it can run a lot less weight. is less prone to an overboost situation, so they're willing to give it a little bit less weight, and that's what they're working towards as a team, to have that car entered in these races. Miller to the inside.
Oh, that is aggressive. It would have been fun if it worked, but Nikolai shut the door. They actually went out in their first practice session. They had the new 2018 spec ECU in the car, but they said we didn't get all of the right pin connectors from the factory, and they said, so we've just got a few hooked up. He said, so the first session, Nikolai's going to have RPM, oil and water temp, and he goes, we're going to be bringing them in every few laps to just make sure everything's good. So, but we wanted to start getting a read on that ECU. So that is very much on development here. Miller pops down to the inside and is got through.
Yeah, he clears the crossbar pretty easily down the straightaway, and that's what you'd expect with that crossbar so lightweight and quick through the corners, that some of the other marks will have a bit of an advantage on the straightaway. You've got to try and equalize the lap times, and there's pros and cons in terms of where these different cars, and there's so many of them in this class, have their advantages.
This is interesting here. That battle on the track that you're looking at right in front of the crossbow, Drew Stavely, points leader in the AM class, and the BMW right behind Aurora Strauss, second. But we're hearing a report that there may have been a problem, not in terms of shorting the pit stop, but some sort of equipment protocol for the number 12, and there may be a drive-through.
Well, they shouldn't have been using any equipment. I wonder if it's more related to what you saw in terms of him making that move around Aurora.
Yeah, that's true, yes. Yeah, making a pass in pit lane is that's usually frowned on.
Well, you'd hate to throw a championship away. I mean, he'd have to have it a disaster. He just needs a 16th place finish to clinch this championship. If he got 0 points, which he's now past the halfway point, so he should score points even if he gets a penalty here. Going to be a tall order, but Aurora Strauss, along with her teammate John Miller, who's behind the wheel right now, needs to finish at least on the podium.
Well, we just got confirmation from race control. That was exactly the reason that they're going to bring him in for a drive-through.
That was a little bit silly. I mean, Drew should know better than that. I know everyone's amped up about the championship scenarios here this afternoon, and you can't be passing on pit lane like that.
So let's see, is he going to make the move? Yes, he's going to get it done now, which is the smart play. You can have the crew argue it, but all you're doing is letting time run out on your chance to come back and do something about it.
Well, it becomes a safety issue because the crews are setting up for pit stops, and there was a flurry of activity, and suddenly you have a car diving around. I think he went right, didn't he?
He did.
Of Aurora, which is right where the crews are setting up.
Yeah, that was just, I think, a brain fade moment here for Drew Stavely. And he will be kicking himself pretty intently. Here we go. Ian James into the pits.
Couldn't do another one.
Yeah, they got it as close as you could. McAleer coming in as well. Colin Brown coming in.
Look at Brown. He really got the hammer down. He closed in on McAleer and not far behind the leader. So it'll give George Kurtz a great opportunity here.
And Whitmer coming in. So what I'm looking at here, it looks like, wow, Michael Cooper, is he in the pits right now? Yes, so he's in as well. We'll be watching the stop, and the big one to watch is the number 50 and where he comes out relative to that field that'll be coming around.
Well, the key is going to be how tight do they do it on the pit lane delta. Remember, Harry Gottsacker, that's the real battle we're going to be looking for, where Harry Gottsacker lines up with these leaders as they exit pit lane. They did a 68-plus range stop. If the Panos group can cut a little bit finer than that, maybe that'll give them the advantage. And then it comes down to those laps that we were seeing where Harry Gottsacker, after his stop, and the laps by Ian James prior to his stop, how did they align?
Well, Harry feeding it through this final turn onto the front straight. And Ian James is at that 67 right now. He's moving.
There he goes. Matt Keegan now behind the wheel. Can he get up to speed? Going to be tight. Should just keep it, but Harry Gottsacker is very much in the groove right now, so you'd have to think he's going to have the advantage. Pressure on Matt Keegan right now, but he had the fastest lap of the race yesterday. He has pace.
67.45 on that stop.
That was pretty much the difference. I think they'd have been totally equal if it wasn't for that slightly sharper pit stop.
Fabulous job for the second straight day, in fact, for the second straight event by the Panos team in conducting these stops. That's just stunning precision. And the window is closed, so anybody who hasn't made it, which I think everybody will have been, they are in trouble and will have to do their own drive-through. But at this stage, stops are done. The battle is set up front. And we'd just like to remind you that you can follow all of the news on the Pirelli World Challenge by downloading the new Fan app. Go to the Apple App Store or Google Play App Store and search for the PWC Fan app and start getting in deep. And you can also follow along on many other social media platforms. On Facebook, just search for PWC Championship. On Twitter, just look for @WC Racing. And on Instagram, 2 opportunities, hashtag Pirelli WC or hashtag Pirelli World Challenge. And as always, for all things Pirelli World Challenge, go online to the series website, world-challenge.com. Welcome back, everybody. And this battle at the front is as hot as the weather right now. That number 40 of Keegan hanging on in that Panos, but Harry Gottsacker, as you pointed out, in the rhythm and is in attack mode, Cal.
He really is, and but Matt Keegan seems to be up to the task, so it's not going to come easy. As we said, Matt Keegan had the fastest lap of the race yesterday, and he's gaining in confidence. Well, it looks like his door, is his door moving there, or was that just my eyeballs playing up? It looked like the left side door was swinging open there through one of the corners.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it as they head up into Black Rock Hairpin.
Little bobble there,
yeah,
late on the brakes, little twitch there. Matt's wide, he's late on the power. Gottsacker takes advantage. Little mistake there by Matt Keegan.
He's got to fight to the inside. He just straight lines to the apex. Now he's got to get on the brakes, though, and keep that front planted so he can get around that corner. Nice recovery by Keegan.
Yeah, he's certainly not going to give it up easy.
But Harry now knows, he's seen that little bit of a mistake. That door is popped open.
Yeah, and that's going to be a distraction, and maybe that's what's making Matt Keegan miss his marks a little bit.
Absolutely. And we have a full course caution that has been called. Getting a report. There it is. The number 40 Co-College PF Racing Mustang of James Pesic is parked on track.
That's good news for Matt Keegan, because maybe under this caution period he can try and get that door fixed. Trying to do it at speed is not easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he could just reach over a little bit, grab that door and try and latch it. And the problem is if that continues to swing out like that, pretty soon the officials start taking interest, and it's a safety issue that comes off. And meanwhile, of course, we've been telling the story of the number 14, now in the hands of Alex Welch, the Global Motorsports Group, 511 Tactical Mobile 1 Audi, that is leading in the points. And a great battle for the championship they've been in all year.
To be on the cusp of a championship is great. The competition has been incredibly strong this year. And you can see the depth of the GTS Sprint X field, 35 cars, and some top drivers within the ranks.
I'm really just kind of going in race weekend to race weekend, almost practice session to qualify to race, just one step at a time. And just, if I can do my job, we'll be there in the end.
We just continue to say, let's look big picture. Let's not take any unnecessary risks. Let's take an extra second in the pit stops if that's what it takes.
We also knew when we had a strong car and we capitalized on it. Coda and VIR, we were strong. Harry has shown a lot of speed the last few weekends. We went door to door at Road America in the sprint race, and then at Portland, he obviously won his first race.
It is Sid in victory lane.
Portland is just an amazing experience for me. Cooper had a good pass on me after the restart, but after the pit stop, really just kind of never looked back and just ran with it.
In order to win the championship, I think it's fairly simple. We do what we've been doing.
We just have to win the championship. Doesn't matter if you win by 1 point or 25.
And there's no doubt that, once you put your helmet on, there's a lot of things that can go out the window. And, we're both racers and we both love to win.
So under the caution at this stage, we take a look at where that number 14 is running, with Gottsacker in that battle up at the very front. And Alex Welch sits 16th overall right now, Cal. And in terms of the classic, if it finished like it is now, where would they be sitting?
Well, it's going to be very tight, but if Gottsacker, I think Pavin, there must be a glitch here with timing and scoring. I don't think the 54 car is leading, even though it's showing that. So that may move the 14 car up a position, which is significant. But I think they're about tied. So if Gottsacker could sneak through and grab the victory, Alex Welch has a little bit of work to do. He's got to finish in the top 13. Right now he's showing in the 16th position. So if Gottsacker can grab the lead of this race, it could be the championship as well.
Now, this is interesting here because the pace car did, in fact, pick up the 54. That's the team car to Harry Gottsacker of Mark Pavin, the AM driver in that car, who qualified outside front row overall in the first race at Portland. He's got some speed, but we're a little confounded as to whether or not he could actually be leading at this point. And it looks like...
well, his pit stop time is showing 28 seconds, so I'm not sure if that was on one of the drive-thrus under caution. Under our timing and scoring system, it shows the pit lane delta time. If that was what he took to do his actual stop, then that could be why he's why he's leading.
Which would mean he'd have to do some sort of penalty. And yep, race control now confirming that car. The reason it's shown in the lead is it was too short on its stop. So at some point, they're probably going to have to bring him through. So in essence, really, it is still the Panos of Keegan with Gottsacker. That is the battle. And this has allowed now Maxwell to get much closer, be right up into the mix, then George Kurtz, and the green flag flies.
Let's see what Mark Pavin does here. Can he be a factor with his teammate running in second, trying to get around Keegan? If Pavin is able to balk the Panos a little bit, that may create a door-open situation for Harry Gottsacker. And it is go time. The championship is on the line. With Pavin out of the mix right now, I believe that both the sin of Harry Gottsacker and the number 14 of Alex Welch, he shares with James Sofronis, would be tied in the championship chase. The 14 car would get on a tiebreaker. Here comes Harry Gottsacker. He looks to the inside on Keegan as they go through 4.
He's through. Now Keegan counter moves, and here comes Maxwell trying to do something with it. Cal couldn't quite do it. Keegan trying to straight line to the apex at Black Rock. That didn't work. And that's actually going to give Harry a little room. And we just heard from race control, Pavin, 54 drive-through penalty.
Yeah, that's going to move him out of the way. And right now, as they sit right now, Harry Gottsacker would claim the title here tonight. Alex Welch has got to get on it. But how much speed does Maxwell have? Can he be the spoiler on Harry Gottsacker's party?
Yeah, and Matt Fosnot sitting right there now in that 5th spot as well. And in fact, I think he actually makes it up into 4th as he got around Kurtz at this stage.
What drama here with 60 minutes to go on this Sprint X Championship season. We're within a couple of points of one another in the championship chase, but right now the advantage is with Harry Gottsacker.
And once he got through, he's just going to follow Pavin, draft him a little bit, try and pull clear. And Keegan now has to start worrying about the 55 of Maxwell. Oh, and look at this nasty little group coming up here. Cars everywhere. Cooper, and there's the 36 of John Miller. That's the AM Championship playing out as well.
It certainly is, and right in that same picture, that same frame, was Alex Welch. And he needs a bit of drama. He'd like a little bit of argy-bargy here amongst this little pack and maybe promote him some positions, but everyone is going for it.
This is the last race of the Sprint X Championship. Cars going everywhere. The 2 Black Dot Camaros way down to the inside.
Tony Gaples, they're a big slide coming on the front straightaway.
And there is a look at Welch in that number 14. And at this stage, back in 18th overall.
He's lost more ground.
He has got to find speed. And
He's got to dig deep. They talked about a conservative approach. They've got to throw that out of the window right now with the performance of Harry Gottsacker.
All right, so that's the margin. And it looked like he may have just lost another spot. Alex Welch just cannot find the rhythm right now.
Look at Glennon diving in there. This is a battle for a class position right there. Preston Calvert going for the sweep, going for 2 in a row on the weekend.
And everybody heading into Black Rock looking for any opportunity.
This is for the lead, Greg. Calvert holds the lead in the AM class right now.
Watch him on the exit here. Calvert able to hang on at this stage.
Tony Gaples there running in the 3rd position in class. Had a brilliant opening stint yesterday before he turned it over to Michael Cooper.
Yeah, and Miller right now doing everything he can to try and get around the number 10 of, the number 1 of Lawson Aschenbach, just to try and pick up any kind of spots he can.
Stavely down in the 9th position in class. John Miller runs in third. The car he shares with Aurora Strauss, but that will not be enough to steal the championship.
He is working it hard right now up front. It is Harry Gottsacker continuing to lead away, and Ryan has found the owner of that Racer's Edge team, John Meraki.
That's right. So, John, your guy's up front in the race. How about in the championship? What are you thinking right now as we come down to the wire here in Sprint X?
Honestly, Ryan, I'm not thinking about the championship yet. No, we don't think about that. We think about the race. We're happy he's in the lead. Our job right now is just to win the race. When the race is over, we'll take a look at the points and see where they fall.
So, with that said, the maturity level we're seeing out of Harry, the season as it's progressed, it seems like he's just gotten more and more comfortable with this race car. What can you say about your young driver?
Yeah, I mean, this is what we hope for. We bring in our young driver and we work with him throughout the season, and he learns from the other drivers that are out there. Everything comes into him and he learns, and he just gets better with every race, and this is exactly what we hope for. So in the beginning, you may start out a little rocky with the inexperience, but by the end of the season, with the experience under their belt, they just get better and better, and you're seeing that with Harry. You know, with the win at Portland, he's been running up front since Road America, 2 seconds, second and a first, and now we're out front again.
Well, thank you for the time, and best of luck the rest of the way. Fingers crossed.
Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ryan, as you wrap that up, we had a bunch of cars involved.
Number 1 was in the mix, I think, Andy Pilgrim.
Yep. Oh!
Wow, what a ride.
Pilgrim catching the side. That was Clennon's McLaren, the KPR entry.
Big implications there. You see John Miller in the middle of it, and you'd have to think this will promote Alex Welsh. Is this the break that they needed and get Alex Welsh into a position where he'll score enough points?
And the full course caution comes out, so there you go. Welch might get a couple positions, then everybody gets to pack up, and we have ourselves a whole new battle that could be unfolding here as the Mercedes-Benz safety vehicle enters the track. We're under caution once again here at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Utah. Well, back with you here at Sirius XM, and on the webcast, you can see the McLaren, the premier copier Von Sydow storage entry of Mark Clennon. And a tough moment there, and we not only saw the number 1 Camaro get airborne, we saw the safety worker get airborne there, trying to hustle over there. And, well, I'll tell you, that was a big hit. When you see a car come off all 4 wheels, and that was close to going over.
It really was, and hopefully Andy's okay and everyone else involved in that incident. But as they came across the stripe, that has promoted Alex Welsh up to the 12th position. With that, that would give them a 1-point lead over Harry Gottsacker in this championship. The real key is going to be on that restart. You see damage there to the left front corner of the 14 GMG machine there, middle of the pack, the blue and white car. Is that hampering his progress as well? Is he vulnerable to any cars right behind him? It's still going to be a little bit sweaty here for the GMG team to pull this one off.
Well, of course, the concern is if he's still fighting something with that engine preservation mode. If it lays down again, he loses a bunch of spots. It's going to be tough.
See the number 17 highlighted on the side of the car. Here we see it. BMW goes around, Clennon goes around, and then suddenly Andy Pilgrim is the meat in that McLaren BMW sandwich.
Yeah, that had to be just one of those moments for Andy Pilgrim when suddenly you're airborne. And look, I don't know whether Clennon just spun on his own or right before we came to that shot if he'd been
BMW
tipped.
was spinning just ahead of him
Yeah.
at the same time, so I wonder if those two got together and were just trying to get it back together. And there's also some significance when we talk about the overall championship. We haven't really mentioned that. There's an overall championship that includes Sprint and Sprint X rounds. James Safronas has a massive 51-point lead on that. The person who's closer to him was Lawson Aschenbach, who shares that #1 car, so that will blow that lead out a little bit. But the next guy up with a 52-point deficit is Harry Gottsacker. So all sorts of championship scenarios are playing out by the second right now.
Oh, this is absolutely amazing. And in the AM category, the 92 of Toby Grahovic holds down the AM class lead at this stage. So good run there. Second is Nikolai Elgahanian in the Marco Polo crossbow. And then third is Preston Calvert, who's actually dropped a spot.
Yeah, he was right up there leading just a few laps ago. So he's got shuffled back down the order.
Feel just hoping that we can get this incident cleaned up relatively quickly here.
I'm sure James Safronas isn't.
Yeah. Well, that's a good
This
point.
will work just fine. This will give me another title on the back of a brilliant 2017 season for James.
And with Stavely sitting in this 5th spot right now in the AM category,
that's enough to clinch
that's
the title.
enough. Yep, that would do it. Certainly with Miller being involved, caught up in that incident. This one right here, that's just going to solidify that for him. So the rollback is here. Get them up and on that. And what's the story with the #1? Getting that one ready to go as well. So
Bruised some equipment here today.
Oh, boy, haven't
start
we?
and now this incident.
Well, you talked about championships and trying conditions, and we've seen that play out.
For some drivers, this is their final race of the year.
Andy Pilgrim for one with the World Challenge. It's what's the word, ignominious way to have that unfold, unfortunately, for a former GT champion.
He's really enjoyed it, though. He said it's definitely been a tough season. And remember, because of how Andy's graded, they had to run a little bit extra weight on this car compared to some of the others, saying that, okay, Andy's okay by the rule book in terms of being that amateur driver, but with his history, you're going to have to run a little bit more weight on that car. I think it was 10% more weight.
Well, hopefully we get this thing cleaned up quick enough, Cal, to resolve all of that.
Everyone's itching to go. I'm sure that James Safronas is talking it through with the Alex Welch right now, indicating, okay, this is what Goutsacker's doing. He looks comfortable up front. You cannot afford to lose more than one position. So be ready for the restart if we get one. You cannot go backwards, otherwise we could lose this title.
Yeah, I'm sure there is a huge amount of communication going on pit wall to pilot right now.
He's got that 113 BMW of Jorgensen right behind him.
That car's
Lewis
quick.
right there should have pace. Stavely will have pace. The thing with Stavely, maybe a bit conservative with the situation with the Aurora Strauss car now.
It's important to remember that once again, if you're running in the Pro-Am category, which the 14 does, it's overall finish. You don't just delete all of the AM guys.
Right. You get passed by an AM driver, you're losing a spot in points.
We're going to pause here, and we'll be right back with our CBS Sports Network coverage. Welcome back, everybody. Continuing under caution after the incident over in the turn 4 area of the track, and the Mercedes-Benz safety vehicle leading the field around. We're very close to having that cleanup effected. Hopefully we'll be able to get it done and get a couple of laps in on this one. But as you can see, the number 62 McLaren up on the rollback. And let's take a look one more time at what happened over here, Cal.
You can see here, you see a BMW spinning, Clennon spins, and then suddenly Andy Pilgrim has nowhere to go. He tries to thread the needle, but clips Miller and Clennon at the same time. Almost puts that Camaro on its roof. Fortunately, it landed 4 wheels down, but a lot of damage to race cars.
And both of them have been up and moved. So, as I said, we're hoping to be able to get back and going here. And as this is played out, you look at the point scenario. There's the number 14 of Alex Welch. Right now, they look like they're in a position where they might have just enough to win this, but he's got damage on the left front corner of that car.
If we go back to yellow, you'd have to assume that James Sophonis has been talking him through the scenarios. Gottsacker's leading. That's the guy who's chasing us in the championship. If he continues to lead, he's going to get a maximum point score here today, and we have to finish in the top 13. Welsh cannot afford to drop more than one position here on this restart. Otherwise, they could lose the championship.
And Ryan Marine, are there any fingernails left in the Global Motorsports Group pit?
None that I can see, Greg. James Sophonis is here. He's been going through permutations, points, trying to figure out what exactly the scenarios are. James, do you have a moment? One more time by. It doesn't look like now's a good time for them, but as it stands, they believe they're good by the position that they're running. They're certainly hoping they don't go back to green at this point, guys.
All right, thank you very much. And that's what you alluded to. You said, yeah, this car should be just fine for them at this stage. But I think I heard perhaps next time by, we might be able to go here. And if that's the case, a couple of laps.
Yeah, they need to make sure that the pace cars are carrying enough speed to get back around here. You almost double the time here to do a caution lap versus a green flag lap.
Well, the word has come down. Lights out on the safety vehicle. This time we anticipate going green. And so for Harry Gottsacker, he just needs to do what he's done all day today. Just be faster than that 50 car behind him and go. And then the interesting thing is going to be what happens with that number 14. Does it stay put or move up?
There you see him towards the very back of this lead pack there. Got Jorgensen right behind him in the number 113 BMW. Shane Lewis may have pace behind him. Is the Audi in good enough shape? When did that bodywork take the hit?
Exactly.
Has he been up to green flag pace with the bodywork in the current condition?
And then, of course, you've got the very fast Drew Stavely. However, he's got himself in a situation with the problems for the 36 BMW. He's locked, in a sense. He doesn't have to take any risk at all. Just bring it home. So he might be fairly cautious. And there's a very nervous James Sophonis. Had an amazing year last year, and would like to add another title.
They never come easy, do they?
No.
They make you sweat for them.
That they do. And they're also well placed, obviously, for a potential overall combined championship, including the sprint rounds. James is, but he'd love to get this Sprint X one. He and Alex Welch are such good friends that he really would like to see Alec find himself at the championship. Alec, that car looks like he's ready to go.
Yeah, he's up on it. He's going to be ready, certainly. He's got Preston Carver right in front of him, but he's got to be up on the wheel. The key is going to be the guys behind him. Are they ready to go? If they fall back too badly, that may take the pressure off Alex Welch.
Oh boy, we're getting a white and checker scenario here. So one lap, it's a shootout in the Great Salt Desert here that we are going to be seeing. One lap to determine the champions in Sprint X and GTS. And Harry Gottsacker and that Racer's Ed Sin rolling into it, trying to make sure he's got that margin. Keegan sits in second, Maxwell third. Onto the front straight we go. There's the white flag, green and white, one lap to go at Utah Motorsports campus, and Gottsacker is gone. In the back, you can see Welch way down to the inside.
Yeah, he's
trying to figure way by. Yep.
Spin there for the 45 Flying Lizard machine. Other cars go with him. Key is going to be that we don't go full course yellow. That would preclude anyone making a move here.
So Gottsacker leads it down into turn one, now up into 2 and 3, and across the line.
He looks comfortable. What sort of restart did Alex Welch have? Looks like he's okay. Looks like he had a good one. Just got to keep that car up in the top 12. He's right there, but look at that. Nikolai Algahanian is right on his tail. But Welch looked like he may have moved up a position.
And Algahanian is fast. We've seen that, and you can see Maxwell attacking on Keegan. That's what Gottsacker wants. Keep Keegan busy in defense mode. Matt Fosnot in that Fuji orange Mercedes in the mix as well. So Gottsacker's got things working his way.
Look at that. Welch under attack. Someone down to the inside. That's Samantha 10.
Yeah, it is.
Algahanian's dropped back a little bit. I think as I count them, Greg, Welch is in position to clinch this championship, but it is still very, very tight. Every position counts.
Through witchcraft one last time. Welch hanging on right where he needs to be. Algahanian tries to dive down the inside of Samantha Tan. Does.
Wow,
He's
that takes
through.
the pressure off Welch. This is huge right now.
And Welch taking a look into the Twilla turn on Preston Calvert.
He doesn't need that, though. He doesn't need any more positions. If the pressure is off behind him, I think he's okay.
That group, that battle for second overall is huge. Welch taking a look at Calvert. Still, he dives down to the inside.
Does he know what position he's in?
That's the question, I think, Cal.
What are they feeding him? Algahanian's right there as well. Welch pushes in deep. Nikolai's right on his tail.
Here we go. One more turn. Gottsacker comes across the line. There is the 14 of Welch. Does he get a run on Calvert?
It's going to be enough. I think he's in the top 10, Greg.
He did it. 10th for Alex Welch. Welch and Safronis Global Motorsports Group will be champions. And that is probably the best moment of relief you could ever experience down in pit lane. That's a family moment as well for that team. What a day. What drama. Oh, man.
That was awesome.
That was fantastic. Keegan and Maxwell complete the overall podium. Grahovic and Chris Omock win in the AM category in the 92. It was a great day. The BMW there. Second is Calvert. And Algahanian was the guy who was making Welch very nervous.
It really was, but I'm not sure that Alex Welch realized that he had enough. He was looking for more there, and last thing you want to see him is to throw it all away when he didn't need another position. But it gets a little bit crazy inside that helmet with all of the championship permutations going on. I'm sure James Safronis said, listen, you can't afford to drop any. He got a good restart. I think he must have got around Algahanian before turn one. That promoted him up another spot from where he initially took the restart.
Well, then how much do you want to fill that driver's head, with information? Because the more you do it, the more you can rattle them a little bit. And I think Kurtz may just not have been quite sure, and just if I can get a spot, do it. So let's take a look at our overall unofficial results after what has proven to be as a mesmerizing race. Gottsacker over Keegan and James in the Panos. The Sin wins it again. What a run Gottsacker's on. Maxwell and Buford complete the podium. There's Fosnot and Simchek in the Fuji machine. And then the winner in the AM category right there, Grahovic and Omock in that number 92. And what a run and day they put on here, obviously. And you take a look further down the order, but the big story there is in 10th, Welch Safronis Global Motorsports Group champions.
Unofficially, that is enough. We'll let the dust settle a little bit literally here in the desert, but it's crazy.
Yeah, this has just been absolutely fascinating watching this all unfold today. And for Harry Gottsacker, man, that's just about as good as it can get. I mean, he did everything he could possibly do. And when you take a look at the final points tabulations, it's going to be close. I mean, he fought as hard as he could.
He did, and he's actually now within shouting distance of James Safronis, I believe, for that overall title as we head to Watkins Glen in a few weeks' time for the final championship weekend. But it's a long shot, but it's just been a brilliant performance. I mean, they're just thinking about race victories and fine-tuning this young man's talent, and he is coming on gangbusters.
Boy, isn't he? 18 years old, and what a future. And Ian James comes up behind him, and this James Safronis coming over, and I think he's going to say, man, you made that closer than we ever wanted it to this young guy. Just a fabulous story here. Wow. Second event with a win for Harry Gottsacker after getting his first one at Portland. And, you hear that sometimes, don't you? You get that first one, and the second one comes a little easier.
And when we spoke to him after the race there, he wasn't giddy about the win. He said, let's bring it on. Let's go and get another one. And he did it.
He did exactly that, Ryan. What a story.
What a story indeed. Harry, you broke through with that first win in Portland, riding the wave of momentum right now. How good is this feeling, the way that the crew in the car and you are all clicking at the moment?
Man, it's just amazing. The Racer's Edge gave me such an incredible race car this weekend. Just all weekend, we knew we had pace, and we were able to manage it for the win today. Yesterday, we had some mistakes on the pit stop, but it wasn't a big deal. We put our head down today and did a job. I want to thank the Protein Water, Green Harley Davidson, and my Uncle Hal.
Congratulations, great win.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was, and he did it solo today, too. So, that one, that gives you that great rhythm and everything, but two, in this heat and the like, it's not always an easy thing to do, but young man pulled it off.
He really did, show great poise and was up to the task, made it happen. And it was a tight race. I'm looking forward to Watkins Glen. in terms of looking to see who can clinch the overall titles, but also liking to see this battle between the Sin and the Panos possibly resume once again.
Yeah, it's just so fun to watch, no question about that. And there we go. There are our class champions. Again, a 10th overall finish. It should be enough. We have to wait for the official word. But at this stage, this would be another championship. You know, James Sofronis has been in this series for well over a decade at least, even a couple of 25 years actually. I think is back to his first ever start. But with this team, and he didn't have any championships. He had wins. And last year they put together 2 with his GTA. And this year, Ryan Moraine, they add a 3rd one.
A championship for GMG Racing as it stands. Good swell cheer, James Sofronis, but Alex, it all came down to you in that final stint, all that final restart. Nerve-wracking was that?
You know, it was, I have to say, it was the most exhilarating lap of my race. I've done tens of thousands of laps, probably 1,000 here, and the car was hot, it was overheating, and it was about keeping it cool, and it was about getting a run where I could, because you had to carry momentum. But I knew racing and I got that was good enough. I just made sure and hit my marks, and it's unbelievable. I can't thank James, GMG, the entire GMG crew, Pirelli's given us amazing tires, haven't let us down all year, and thanks to all our sponsors, CrowdStrike, Mobile One, Thermal. Yeah, again, this is really for James and the team. This is unbelievable.
And for you, James, I know last year finally getting that World Challenge Championship. Where does this Sprint X Championship stack?
This is a big one. I mean, to do it with an unbelievable team effort for EMG, but more importantly, with a good dear friend and an ally. We didn't have the car's hot here. Doesn't matter. We never gave up. I had total faith in Alex. He's been a rock star all season. So much credit goes to him. My part got some few issues in my stint, but I knew Alex, like he's done all year, was going to bring it home when he had to do it. So, I mean, the GMG guys, Mobile One, the Thermal Club, 511 Tactical, all of them, and then CrowdStrike, a huge supporter. George Kurtz, he knows that I owe him a favor because he was about to give me one, but we didn't need it. So, George, I love you. CrowdStrike, get that software to protect you. Cybersecurity, that's for sure. So, anyways, enough of the commercial stuff. Great to celebrate with my best buddy here. Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the cool things. You heard Alex there saying, this one's for James, but James, I know, was saying, no. A second, but Al Gahanian, what a great run, up 21 spots, and gets the VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award. But Stavely there in 4th, plenty enough.
Yeah, it really was a brilliant championship season. Him had that overall win at Lime Rock was really the icing on the cake, but congratulations to that whole 3G group. Ian Lacey, well done, and Drew Stavely, you drove a brilliant season, mate. Congratulations on the title.
Well, with that title, let's hear from our champion in the AM category, and Ryan, he wins it at home.
He does. On home soil, home track, you work here basically at the school here on site. It wasn't straightforward though. You certainly had your work cut out for you to clinch the championship today.
Yeah, from the get-go, man, we were trying our absolute hardest. Every lap had a count. You know, there was so much carnage, especially in that second race. We couldn't just drive around. We had to go past. So we went past and, not take any chances was a challenge. Big thanks to my team. They're the ones that really, got the car perfect every race, every week, and every practice. And without them, we couldn't be here. And also big thanks to my family. Long time coming.
Your Sprint X AM champion, Drew Stavely.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's had overall wins this year. He has that kind of speed. Pretty remarkable for him to be able to do this.
Yeah, great job. Getting back to that comment by James Sofronis, he said George Kurtz was going to give him a favor. What they're talking about there, if they needed one position, George Kurtz was willing to back it up, I believe, in terms of that CrowdStrike Audi, and give Alex Welch a position he may have needed to sneak the title.
Well, sometimes you have to have the team come into play, don't you? As it turned out, Alex was able to get the job done. Wow, what an eventful weekend. Sprint X for GTS, and its first full season running a Sprint X championship. Absolutely phenomenal way to wrap things up. A race full of intrigue, full of surprise, and some absolutely fabulous racing. Congratulations to all of our winners. Congratulations certainly to our champions. But Pirelli World Challenge GTS Racing not yet done. done for the season. The final 2 rounds in the Sprint Championship and the overall combined championship yet to unfold Labor Day weekend at Watkins Glen International Raceway in upstate New York. So we've got that to look forward to yet as well. Make sure you watch our coverage, or better yet, come out and enjoy the racing at Watkins Glen. That wraps things up from here at Utah. For Calvin, Ryan, and our entire CBS Sports Network crew, I'm Greg Creamer. In association with WC Vision, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.